I have created 5 perfect Wonderkid strikers and I've placed them in 5 different continents. They are identical in current and potential ability, all set at 100 current with 200 out of 200 potential, and have perfect hidden attributes such as professionalism, so hopefully they have a chance to develop well. I chose these 5 clubs because they all have a tendency to produce amazing new gens and have great training facilities. And I'm going to simulate their careers and find out what interesting stuff can happen. Enjoy it. Now, a couple of these teams are actually like actual academies. They don't necessarily play in a league. And I did try and put all 5 players at different academies around the world. I think there's like Canberra in Australia that has one, but either when I loaded the game I couldn't find them, or there wasn't one in different continents, which I wanted the video to be about. So we are 1 year into the future. Let's see where they are. I can already see that Perfect Wonderkid number 4, the Europe of the edition, hasn't moved, but he is wanted by PSG. So he is at INF Clairefontaine in France, so it's quite logical that PSG would want to come in for him. And after a year of growth already, he's looking quite good. But of course, he's played 17 games. I don't know whether they're like friendlies. They play in a league apparently. Only 2 starts and 15 appearances from the bench last season, so it's not a lot. But he is looking really good. I think he's actually considered their key player as well, so I am surprised. Now, they all have 2-year deals, so after their 2-year deal is up, they can leave, they can re-sign. I haven't really made it very strict at all. I'm quite curious to see the journey that these 5 players go, being that they are the best in the world, or they have the potential to be. So obviously Clairefontaine, they have 20 training facilities, so that's going to be great for Mr. Perfect Wonderkid number 4. But what about the other players? I'm curious to see how they all get on in that. And have any of them left? They haven't. Wow. Okay, so let's go to South America then with Perfect Wonderkid number 3. Doing this all out of loop. People are going to be so annoyed. Now, the attributes will change, but they do all start on 100 with 200. It just obviously depends, because I haven't put in any attributes. Just depends on what the player turns out like. So at 16, they're all the same height as well, the same weight. Everything else is identical other than their starting attributes. So this guy actually plays... Sorry, gone back one there. This guy actually plays in Colombia for Deportivo Cali, who, if you haven't done so, scout, because on all of your saves, they are probably producing some really talented players. He's 16, but no club is wanting him just yet. Interesting. The one that I'm really interested in, to be fair, though, is Perfect Wonderkid number 2, because he is at Kyoto Sanya, and they aren't really in a league at all. If you go to this, they don't play in anything. When I put him in there, I thought, is it going to be a risk? But I'm curious to see the difference that happens between putting him in this and Deportivo Cali, so we can kind of understand more about Football Manager, whether these players, when they're at these academies, are more likely to be found by the AI, for example, like this player would, or at somebody like Perfect Wonderkid number 3, who is at Deportivo Cali playing in an actual league. So maybe that's something that we can find out. So this guy looks quite talented as well, though he has really low determination. He still has that high personality of professionalism, so I didn't mess around with any of their mental attributes. I let that go, and he is playing a lot of games. I'm guessing it's mostly friendlies. What about his compatriots? None of them have actually moved. So the Right to Dream Academy, which is obviously in Ghana, I'm really curious here to see whether he moves to Norgeland in Denmark, because they have a direct link. And if you go to Norgeland in Denmark, they have so many players that come from the Right to Dream Academy. So it would be quite funny if he did, but it'd also be quite peculiar if he didn't. Now, he is scoring quite a lot of goals. And the final player, I guess, that we haven't looked at yet is the one in Mexico, Perfect Wonderkid number 5. Arguably looks the best, and he has a high determination. So the only one that is wanted so far is the French Wonderkid in Europe. I checked in a year later, and only one Wonderkid had moved. That was the French Wonderkid to PSG on a free transfer. And he'd already scored 10 goals in 26 games this season for PSG's second team. The Ghanaian from the Right to Dream Academy had also agreed to join Porto, however, and the Japanese Wonderkid is wanted by 4 clubs, including 3 from the Premier League and PSG, whereas the other 2 are just chilling at their clubs. Okay, 2027 then. Let's come back from holiday, and it did seem like the Wonder Kids that were at academies were found quicker, or not found quicker, but were snapped up quicker, wanted quicker. So I have typed in Perfect Wonder Kid. This is very interesting. So we've got one who is at PSG, the Wonderkid 4, who came from Clairefontaine. He wants to leave PSG because he wants to get into the national setup. Amazing. So he hasn't played any games for the first team. He keeps only playing for PSG seconds, and he wants to leave. So this is 5 years into the future, but not necessarily 5 seasons. Like, it's 4 seasons. We can kind of see now what their attributes are. So 148. So he's almost at halfway from his current ability to his potential. We can see he does look like a very good player at age 20. But I wonder if the other ones have progressed further. Now, my dad will be loving this because as a Spurs fan, he has picked up not 1 but 2 of these. And oh my God, he has got an absolute steal here. The Mexican from Atlas has been picked up by Spurs. Age 20. He's one of the best strikers in the world. Easily. I wonder whether he is actually at his... Oh, 199. If it isn't slapping you in the face saying that game time will progress your Wonder Kids further than this, I don't know what will, because we can clearly see both of them had exactly the same attributes, and one of them has been given first team football, the other hasn't, and one of them is now the best player in the world and the other is some way off. But there is another Perfect Wonder Kid at Spurs. So number 5, the Mexican, was there. We'll have to see how much he went for. So they also picked up the Colombian, which is interesting because, of course, the rules with the work permits, he must have played a few caps or something before he is picked up. A free transfer, and he has also played a lot of football. He has played 32 games. I don't think he's as good as the previous one, the Mexican Wonder Kid, but his physical attributes are looking phenomenal. 170, yeah, so he's still one of the best strikers in the world, and at 20 years of age, you're not going to say no to a 170 current ability, but he's not as good as his mate, because his mate, his Perfect Wonder Kid from Mexico, is definitely one of the best. Well, it is the best player in the world. I didn't actually remember how much. It was 7.75 million. It's ridiculously cheap. After he did actually make a few starts for Atlas, so that's nice to see. But there's one more further player, and he is also... oh, no, there's 2 actually, sorry. There's one that has gone to the other side of North London. So the Japanese Wonder Kid, he didn't go straight to Arsenal. So when we looked at him to begin with, he was in... Oh, it was a loan deal. Right, okay, that makes more sense now. So he did move to Arsenal, but they were clever. They knew that if they played him immediately, he might not do as well, but he needed first team football. Else he'll end up like the one at PSG. So he moved to PSV. He got himself 5 starts, only 4 goals, 8 appearances from the bench. And then Ajax, which was 5 starts, 10 appearances on the bench. With 5 goals in total there. So then, obviously, this season he has played 18 games, only 3 starts, but he does look like he could be ready to take that jump. I think he needs to take that jump now, because else he'll end up like the other one. He has that 152 current ability, so he's only just ahead. But of course, there is one more. The guy who moved to Porto looks like he is still at Porto, the Ghanaian. 20 years of age. Yeah, he looks fantastic. So he came from the Right to a Dream Academy on a free transfer, and he played a lot for the Right to a Dream Academy. He has started a lot of games this season. No, yeah, he's only started 6, 17 appearances from the bench. But he's got 10 goals, so he is getting into that realm now of needing first team football. So I think this is definitely telling that first team football will give them a much bigger boost. Okay, 10 years later then, let's find out where these Wonder Kids are. Now they're no longer Wonder Kids. They are all in the Premier League. Right, okay, so the 2 at Tottenham seem to be the same 2. And they have stayed at Tottenham. I wonder if Tottenham have finally won a trophy. So Perfect Wonder Kid number 3, which is the Colombian Wonder Kid. He has really progressed here. So obviously Spurs were quite generous with their first team football quite early on. How generous has he been with the goals? Very generous. He has scored a lot of goals. So when he finally started playing a lot of football, you can see that's when the goals came in, because that's obviously when he started becoming a better player. So Perfect Wonder Kid number 3. So he is also the club captain and their key player. Conceição is the manager. Where is his mate? I can't remember what nation he was. He was number 5. He was the Mexican. There we go. So he looks like he started the last game. He looks better. He does look better. Although he was obviously 197, I think. He is 199, so he is up there. He is the best player that we could potentially get. But he is scoring so much less. Only 15 the 3 seasons before this season and 21 this season, which not a lot, really. When you consider how good he actually is, I get that they're probably playing 2 up top, but sure, they're Premier League winners. Oh, what a spin. I guess they do have 2. They have perfect training facilities and everything. They got so much money in the bank. There is no way. They're playing 4-4-2 as well. There is no way that they haven't had. They've definitely had a takeover. 100% they've had a takeover because, yeah, there we go. Promotion within. So it wasn't even a Daniel Levy left, but it was a PLC takeover. Right, okay. Let's take a look then at the other one. Obviously, we had the Tycoon one in the video that we did with Dad, which was hilarious. Now, Newcastle. I made myself a prediction, and I thought to myself, one of these players are bound to end up at Newcastle because Newcastle will have the money to pay for them, and here it is. So they went for the French striker, which kind of makes sense, I guess. They've got Alain Saint-Maxime. Maybe that's who they replaced him with. £45 million, and it was a long time ago. That was 3 seasons after we left, and they started giving him first-team football. Yes, look at that. All that first-team football, and he is definitely scoring a lot of goals. So 2 goals in every 3 games, that's not bad in my opinion. I think that I'd be pleased with that one if that was me. So that's definitely good for Newcastle. We'll take a look at all the competition and stuff, because obviously they are all in the Premier League, so they're all against each other. Oh, this one looks good. We didn't check to see how good that one was. So the Arsenal one, which is the Japanese striker, 199. He has also reached his maximum, pretty much anyway. He does look really good. A lot of very good physical attributes, and that 20 composure and 70 anticipation means he's going to be so good. If they trained him to beat the offside trap, and they haven't done that, which... oh, you're making a mistake there. Probably why the other side of North London is winning the league, Arsenal. But they could have been winning other trophies, I guess. They got a Champions League here. When was that? 2032. There you go. So they have won something. They haven't won a Premier League since, which is interesting. And the Europa League was ages ago. FA Cups, they have just won the FA Cup couple of years ago, and they won something else there, and the Carabao Cup as well. So they are winning things. But the final Wonderkid has ended up at Manchester United. Perfect Wonderkid number 1, which was the one from the Right to Dream Academy from Porto. He looks really good as well. Great physical attributes. I'm guessing he's been playing a lot of football. 190. Oh, he's like 9 off. But he is playing 35 games. He started all 35, so when he's available, they have been playing him. He's consistent. He's the most consistent one that we have seen, I think, but maybe not the best goal scorer. £67 million they paid from Porto. So it does make sense that they've all gone to the Premier League, because Premier League, although I have all of the leagues here to view, the top 5 leagues that is, Premier League is the only playable one. Whether that makes a difference or not, I'm not quite sure. But the Premier League is there, and Tottenham have won it. So if we take a look at the profile of the Premier League, we can see Newcastle won it this season before. Oh, so Newcastle have won it twice here. Tottenham have won it 3 times. So when one of these Wonderkids moved to Newcastle, it made a difference because they won it in 2032. But Tottenham in the last 4 years, won it 3 times, and Newcastle won it outside of that, which is... okay, fair enough. The last thing I want to check then is the Champions League. See if any of these have been winning the Champions League. For now, Newcastle again. There we go. So Newcastle, Arsenal. Obviously, we've seen that one. And Tottenham won in 2030, which I believe was this guy. Was he already at the club? He would have been, wouldn't he? Yeah, 2030. So he might be the first one to win the Champions League here. Perfect Wonderkid number 3. I checked in 3 seasons later, and the only thing that had occurred was the Mexican Wonderkid had moved to Barcelona on a free transfer after his game time at Spurs was reduced. From what I can gather, that's mainly because their new manager only plays 1 striker formations. Oh, well, it's 2043, so basically 20 years into the future, and we have our first player looking to retire, and that's Perfect Wonderkid number 5, the Mexican who moved to Barcelona from Spurs on that free transfer. He's had some good seasons, and he's still really decent. Like, if he wanted to carry on playing, he probably could. And if we take a look, maybe his attributes he's got staff details now, so he might be good at staff. 173, so he's still one of the best players in the world. I'm curious, edit staff details. His potential to be a good staff member is not bad either, which is quite interesting. I guess he has fantastic personalities. But other than that, nobody has moved places. We will look at Ballon d'Or, don't you worry. That is something that I was waiting to do near the end. But we can see everybody else is kind of still as good as what they could be, but they're just not looking to retire yet. yeah, they have slightly dipped off, and I think every single one of them is around 186. But yeah, we'll go forward a little bit more and see who is maybe the last man standing. Just 1 year later, 2044, and yeah, it's time to call this experiment quits because all 4 players remaining are all retiring, which is rather interesting. We can see here the current ability. We have our highest is the guy at Newcastle who's still doing quite well, the French Wonderkid. He looks like he could still play for a couple of more years, doesn't he? Let's be honest. So I guess it's all to do with the natural fitness, but he's still deciding to retire anyway. So what was the remaining seasons like? So he still did really well. Premier League, who won the Premier League in the last couple of seasons that we lasted? So Newcastle have just won it. Spurs and Arsenal have had a few goals as well. So a few of them have been winning perfectly. For me, I guess the Man United guy just decided never to win anything. He's there in 3rd place, but still, they never did anything. So let's go to Champions League and see if any of them has been winning. We'll check the Ballon d'Ors after that. So Newcastle also won the Champions League. He's retiring on a high. Like, he's just won the Premier League, the Champions League, and he's like, let's call it quit there, lads. He has been fantastic and phenomenal for them. Oh, we've got to check it. World Cup. If they won, it's 2044. Would that be the World Cup this year? I can't remember if it would be this year or the year after. 46, so it wouldn't. He has won the World Cup, though. So has England, but we didn't do one in England. So the French Wonderkid won the World Cup in 2034. So that's quite good for him. It is time, though. Ballon d'Or. Who won the most? Let's check it, because they're bound to have won it, surely. They have. There's been a guy who has been winning it recently, though, João Pereira, who is not one of these guys, and Patrick here, who is also playing for Newcastle and phenomenal, which is quite interesting. So, did all of them win it other than one? They did, and they've only won it once. How interesting, because they haven't won it down here. Kylian Mbappe won on a bit of a rampage after João Pedro won it. João Pedro. Wow. Okay, I'm quite surprised nobody won it around here. Kylian Mbappe dominated for a time, but each player other than Perfect Wonderkid #1 has won it. Who was Perfect Wonderkid? Had to be the Man United guy, didn't it? By the way, the final one who retired to become a coach, there's sad news if you are really rooting for the Mexican, because he's still unemployed. You can't find a job. He's not very good, and he's leaving. Well, he's just there available to do nothing, I guess. But there we go. I mean, he won La Liga in his final season, so he did do something. Congratulations to Perfect Wonderkid #5. I hope you enjoyed this little experiment. It's only a little bit of fun, to be honest. Hope we don't get too rowdy in the comments. Oh, you should have done this instead. Because those comments just, I think, oh, what a waste of time. What a waste of time. I'll tell you what won't be a waste of time, though, is checking out this video. If you want to find players like this is how I do it through attribute searching. A lot of you have always requested it in my series stuff, how I find all the best Wonderkids. This video tells you how. Go check it out right now.